About 2.5 years ago, the city of Amsterdam received an email, and I'm going to read it to you. Hi, I'm born and raised in Amsterdam, and in December I will be launched to the International Space System. I would like to bring some memories of Amsterdam into space. I hope you can help me. André Kuipers, astronaut. And as it is with email to a governmental organization, it wanders around the administration until it lands at the communication department. And together with André, they thought about what could he bring up into the air. It has to be light, no sharp edges. You don't stitch it to your uniform. So in the end, they made up a goodie bag. Then we heard nothing for a very long time. Until 2 months ago, because also the NASA is a governmental body, and it takes them 1.5 years to release the photos. And now I'm trying to start the photograph presentation. What does this picture tell us? First, it shows that people of Amsterdam are really proud of the city itself. They really want to take something of their own hometown up to space. That's pretty amazing. Which other astronaut do you know that brought something from his city center, from his city, into space? But at the same time, we also know that the citizens are proud of Amsterdam, but not necessarily proud on their governmental system. And it seems that there seems to be an increasing discontent. And the gap between society and local government seems to be growing. And I would like to give you an example of it. In 2010, we held a very big conference in Amsterdam about the future of Amsterdam. And we thought it would be interesting to invite our mayor to the conference. But we couldn't do that because we were in transition between mayors. And happily, Amsterdam every 2 years has an election by the nightlife for a night mayor. So we thought, no mayor, then we invite the night mayor. And the night mayor of that moment was DJ Isis. And DJ Isis gave a presentation about addressing a great issue. Is Amsterdam really the creative city it wants to be? If the city wants to be a creative city, it has to be focused on making things possible. And do we live up to that ambition? What she sees in that city is more and more about control, more about containment, and more about distrust. And she said that the city should rely more on its citizens, give more space for self-regulation, self-steering, self-organization and trust. She is looking for an opportunity to demonstrate that living up to these values will really create new possible things and give more feeling about a positive atmosphere. As you can imagine, she gets a lot of resistance. Why? Because it is a real conference, not a fancy one like this one, but it is row and row and row and row with people dressed in grey suits, dark blue suits, and black suits. And you get a lot of resistance. Well, you really can't do that. There's a lot of yes, but, and a lot about, trust is good, control is better. And imagine a very colorful young girl addressing that public. That's really hard, and she stood up to the values. Actually, I like the story. After her presentation, I walked up to her, I talked to her, and after some skepticism from her, because I also wear the grey suit, and she has numerous advantages with the bureaucrats of our society who wants to get in touch with her but don't deliver. And after those final introductions, she actually thinks, okay, let's go on a journey together. So for me, it's an interesting experiment because I really believe that the values Isis was talking about, giving as much freedom as possible to the citizens, but staying within the boundaries of the law, how far can we stretch it? It's really a challenge. Her reference was the Burning Man Festival in Nevada. And you want to know where you can find sand in Amsterdam, you definitely have to go to the Amsterdam East District. So we took the bicycle and we drove around the Eastern District to find a place where she could live her dream, making things possible that previously seemed impossible. And we found the location. From that point on, it really started. We had quite a few interesting challenges, and I would like to name some in our working together journey. She wanted to have a crowdsourced festival. Have you any idea how to apply for a permit for a 4-week festival, crowdsourced? And you don't know what is going to happen? How many people will join every day? Do you have a bouncy castle for the children all 4 weeks long or for short period? How do you do it? That was not easy because it was crowdsourced. You only know at the last minute what was going to happen an hour after that. Another example, we were very proud on our digital permit system to obtain a permit. Actually, we learned, working together, that when you wanted to change something at page 15 of your screen, and you want to go back 1 page, you have to start all over again with page 1. Another interesting issue, a 4-week festival, and a festival needs an alcohol permit. So we would like to have an alcohol permit for 14 days. Well, you can get an event festival permit for alcohol for 14 days. If you want it for a month, then it is almost impossible unless you have a full-blown HoReCa restaurant kind of permit with very high standards. In the end, we came up with a solution to give her a 40-day permit, another 14-day permit for a festival, in between an alcohol-free day. Making things happen. And actually what I noticed is that the civil servants working together on this process were really challenged. But you know what? They liked it. And they liked it during the way more and more. So in the end, it became a very successful festival. And this year was the 3rd year of that festival, the Magneet Festival. And what is interesting to know is that about half a year after the first festival, I received a note from one of my employees. And it was signed by Arthur, 7.7, naaktgeboren. And I really couldn't figure out what he has written. So I walked over to him and said, well, what is happening with the 7.7? He was grinning ear to ear. He said, you know, I just heard this morning we have the highest number reached for customer satisfaction in the whole city of Amsterdam. Partly because he was included in a process like this, where he was challenged and not sit opposite somebody else, but sit next to her, making things come through, and not just saying, no, it can't be done. He was really enjoying it. So it is possible to bridge the gap between society and government, but it takes a different attitude. And both are in transition. Let me start first with the society in transition. The term pancake, of pyramid to pancake, I have learned from Josephine Green, a strategist at Philips. And she comes up with a couple of issues. Probably you all discussed many of these issues during the conference. But what you see is that the old hierarchical structures are falling down, and more the networks and communities are on the rise. Old institutions are breaking up, small temporary alliances with freelancers and societal entrepreneurs are on the rise. And government has to react to this, which is not very easy, because it really means a major change operation. What does it mean for government? We also have to move away from hierarchy to a more network-based operation. We have to get out of our offices and into the streets. And we're making contact with a network of citizens instead of inviting them into our networks. We also have to react differently. I don't know if you know it, but in the old days, communication from the government seems almost like the most reliable source of information you could get. Just remember the recent publications about WikiLeaks, about what is happening about social media, etc., etc. So at the moment, government communication is more or less the less reliable source of information. And the wisdom is out there in the crowd. So we also have to go to a totally different kind of participation, where we used to call it citizen participation. Citizen participation was we, as a government, invited people to come to our processes. But I really think that's not the way to go. What we should do is go out and humbly ask to already active citizens and entrepreneurs if we can participate in their process. A kind of government participation instead of citizen participation. And let's also lay more the emphasis on the proud and already existing strength visible and reachable in the streets and within the citizens, and look for opportunities instead only looking for problems. So I think we really should let the civil society take the lead and give more space for enchantment. And focus on innovation, on craftsmanship and on inspiration. And I wish for a flexible kind of government with an extended participation repertoire, dealing with new forms of organization in an increasingly and more dynamic society. And in Amsterdam, we're now into the process of establishing more citizen-based oriented, local challenges-driven government. Not because we have to, but also as a government, we really want to do it. And a number of examples already were there on this conference, I guess. And yes, there's still a long way to go. But now it's the time to really work together with our partners, our communities, our entrepreneurs and our citizens to shape that future. And I'm confident because I really know that we all are proud of the city of Amsterdam, the civil servants and the citizens and the entrepreneurs. And I believe that the most beautiful city requires the best people. And to go back on our astronaut, André Kuipers, we really know, for Amsterdam, the sky is the limit.